It seems like Williams cannot catch a break after all. Now that their season has started to shape up a bit, the team has to face a massive lawsuit from one of their former main sponsors. In such difficult times, with the budget cap constraints, it was definitely the last thing Williams needed. But they need to face it sooner rather than later, and the odds are definitely not in their favor. A legal battle of epic proportions is underway as former Williams F1 team sponsor, Rokit, launches a massive $149 million claim against the legendary racing outfit. But it's not just any claim. Rokit alleges that Williams made fraudulent statements during their sponsorship deal, causing untold damages to Rokit's precious reputation. Williams has dismissed the action as spurious, but Rokit is determined to prove otherwise. According to Rokit, Williams promised them a competitive car in 2019, but it turns out the team didn't have the necessary funds to deliver on that promise. Not only is Williams being held accountable, but former deputy team principal Claire Williams, as well as former team executives Mike O'Driscoll and Doug Lafferty, are also named as defendants in the case. All three individuals left the team in 2020, following the takeover of Dorilton. Taking no chances, Rokit has enlisted the services of Larry Klayman, a prominent lawyer who has been involved in several high-profile legal actions in the past, including ones against former Presidents Bill Clinton and Barack Obama. The action has been launched on behalf of Rocket World Inc. and Rocket World Limited, and the stakes couldn't be higher. It's a legal battle that's sure to keep us all on the edge of our seats. It all started in January 2019, when Rokit boss Jonathan Kendrick signed a 3-year deal with Williams, and did things get complicated from there? Rokit became the team's title sponsor for the entire 2019 season, and the deal was even extended for another 2 years. But wait, there's more. A sister company, Rokit Drinks, got in on the action with an additional agreement. Despite fulfilling its financial obligations and having its logos plastered on the car for the cancelled Australian GP weekend in 2020, things went awry during the COVID break that followed. Rokit claimed that it didn't get the rights it was owed due to race cancellations, while Williams accused Rokit of being tardy with sponsorship fees. When the F1 calendar was slashed due to the pandemic, Rokit tried to offer a compromise by paying a portion of the fees agreed upon in their sponsorship deal. But things took a turn for the worse when Williams abruptly canceled the agreement in May, right in the middle of negotiations for new owners. The disagreement over unpaid fees in 2020 eventually went to court, with Williams ultimately emerging victorious in the London Court of International Arbitration. However, Rokit is now claiming that Williams concealed fraudulent statements during the arbitration, and that they only recently discovered that the team knew all along that their car couldn't perform to the standards promised in the sponsorship deal. According to Rokit's legal team, the Williams defendants internationally concealed the fact that they didn't have enough money to develop the F1 car, causing significant financial loss and damage to their goodwill and business reputation. They're asking for a whopping $149,528,550 in compensation. Williams Racing, however, is having none of it. When asked about the legal action, they dismissed it as a spurious claim. Looks like this saga is far from over, folks. Rokit boss Jonathan Kendrick is not backing down, insisting that his company has been wronged. "I really don't want to do this, but we genuinely believe that we've been treated unfairly," he exclaimed to motorsports.com with a hint of frustration in his voice. According to Kendrick, the root of the problem lies in the cancellation of the 2020 season due to the pandemic. Rokit had offered to pay a percentage of the agreed fees, but Williams canceled the whole contract and sued them for the full amount, even though Rokit wouldn't have any branding on the car. Kendrick claimed that he had been given verbal assurances by the Williams management in early 2019 that the team would have a competitive car. He further disclosed that they had emails showing that Rokit offered to pay 50% of the fees owed, but that Williams refused and canceled the contract via Instagram, without even informing them directly. Despite Williams' successful arbitration against Rokit in the UK, Kendrick remains convinced that his company has a strong case and is seeking compensation for a significant financial loss and damages to Rokit's reputation. Kendrick claims he can call on witnesses who had knowledge of the team at the time to support his case. A few people have come forward that used to work for Williams and have given us some very important information, he said. Kendrick alleges that Williams committed fraudulent concealment of material facts and intentionally concealed the facts that the team did not have enough money to develop a competitive F1 car. The dispute went to the London Court of International Arbitration, where Williams ultimately emerged victorious. Despite this, Kendrick maintains that Rokit has a case and plans to take legal action. And Rocket has not been involved in F1 since it split with Williams in 2020, but the company remains active in motorsports through its involvement in Formula E, the British F4 Championship, and Superbikes. Williams, for its part, says that it continues to trust the court processes in regards to the matter. Honestly, it's hard to understand what Rocket was thinking. Did they really think Williams would suddenly go from being the last-place team to winning races? That's like expecting a cat to start barking like a dog. They clearly don't know much about F1, and maybe they should have sponsored a different sport altogether. It's almost like they're trying to pull off some kind of anti-sponsorship move here. They're just making themselves look bad by dragging this whole thing out. They should have just accepted the breakup and moved on. And even if they somehow win this case and get the full amount they're requesting, they're still going to come out behind in the long run. F1 fans are a loyal bunch, and they're not going to forget Rocket's shady behavior anytime soon. So any goodwill they would have accumulated through their Williams sponsorship is pretty much shot. Previously, Nick de Vries was sued by former sponsors as well, by the real estate bigwig from the Netherlands. Apparently, de Vries received a €250 loan from Jeroen Schathorst Investment Company to help support his junior racing career, with the condition that the loan would be waived if de Vries wasn't an F1 driver by 2022. But now, Schathorst is suing de Vries for the full amount, claiming that the driver did in fact secure an F1 seat in 2022, and therefore should still owe the money. To make matters worse, Schathorst also thinks de Vries is withholding important documents about his earnings, including his deal with AlphaTauri. De Vries, who won the Formula 2 championship in 2019 and the Formula E championship in 2021, was able to make his full-time F1 debut this season, thanks in part to a successful one-off appearance for Williams in 2022, when he replaced an injured Alex Albon. But before he became a hotshot F1 driver, he apparently needed a little financial help from Schathorst. Despite offering to repay the full amount, the Dutch real estate magnate Jeroen Schathorst rejected de Vries' offer. The crux of the case revolves around the definition of an F1 seat and whether de Vries had secured one in 2022, as per the terms of the loan agreement. Schathorst is also accusing the driver of withholding crucial information about his earnings, including the AlphaTauri deal. De Vries denies the allegations to repay the loan, but the legal battle rages on. Schathorst, while wishing de Vries well, acknowledges the different interpretations of the agreement they entered into. Thankfully, de Vries won the lawsuit. The judge ruled that de Vries was just filling in as a reserve driver and not contracted as a race driver at the time. Schathorst also accused de Vries of withholding information, but de Vries used a 26-page transcript of WhatsApp conversations to show he had fulfilled all his obligations. The judge sided with de Vries, ruling that he did not have to provide further copies of his McLaren or AlphaTauri contracts. Oh man, I really hope this doesn't become some sort of legal fiasco trend where sponsors start throwing lawsuits left and right at F1 teams. That would be a major buzzkill and could potentially ruin the sport we all love. Let's face it, F1 teams heavily rely on sponsorships to stay afloat and, in exchange, provide sponsors with a massive platform for advertising. Unfortunately, it seems like there will always be people looking to make a quick buck off of others. What are your thoughts on this hot topic? Don't be shy, spill the tea in the comments below.